Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. For this week's edition, we've moved our Thursday show to Wednesday to make sure you get your full weekend. And we wanted to give a little love to the independents as well. Usually, traditionally, independent shows on Wednesday, but they are taking a summer break. They'll be back in action, as you may imagine, when things drop coming out this fall. With that being said, we wanted to make sure you get your 2 shows a week. So I've got Charles Bishop and A.D. Drew to come in here. Perfect timing, as we had the SIAC Median Day, and that does conclude all the 4 HBCU NCAA football participating conferences that had their media day thus far. So we'll do a concentrated version on the Division II level and give you some updates from there and let you know what's going on. So welcome to episode 839 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of the HBCU athletic program in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-hosts, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to Case-Wade's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing well. I want to definitely extend thoughts to everybody that's in the pathway of Bertha out there. So it's going to be kind of a rough week as we progress through the week. So definitely everybody stay safe out there.
Good stuff. A.D. Drew, how are you? Certainly need to ask for everybody to be safe. A.D. Drew, how are you?
I hope she's not Big Bertha out there, everybody. I hope she's Little Bertha when she does make land and everything. But I am doing fine. My media day obligations are over. Not over. OVA, SIAC, BAC, SWAC, challenge. I am officially done. Sorry, CIAA. I need you to move a day so I can get you in one of these years and everything. But relieved, Dr. Cavil. Long story short, relieved.
Good stuff. Let's move into it as we are getting hot and into it. I'm going to go ahead and go to you first, A.D. Drew, since we'll have a lot of focus in terms of the SIAC Division II program in terms of HBCU news of the day. Before I do that, let me give a shout out to Professor Bishop, as he has the media shirts that we've updated. It has HBCU Sports Lab, as well as the conferences, if you would, NCAA conferences, on the shoulders with the shoulder patches of each logo. I must say, that looks good, Charles. Your arms a little buff. The logo's a nice size. You even look a little NASCAR-ish.
That's a good point.
With that being said, let me go back to you, AD. What's on your mind?
And I know we're going to get deep into the SIAC today, but I want to take a step back to yesterday with the MEAC, and I want to talk about the deal. You mentioned it, you teased it out yesterday that there was an announcement coming from from ESPN with their media rights deal, where I have the official press release. The deal includes MEAC football plus men's and women's basketball championship coverage across ESPN networks. The 6-year agreement, the 6-year ESPN events agreement for the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff presented by Toyota and the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota. ESPN and the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference have reached a new multi-year media rights agreement that will bring the conference basketball championships along with marquee regular season football and basketball competition to ESPN networks through 2031 through the 2031 academic year. The agreement includes global rights, and ESPN will annually present nearly 24 regular season football games, including select games on ESPN linear networks. The MEAC Men's Basketball Championship on a linear ESPN network. The MEAC Women's Basketball Championship on an ESPN linear network. All other rounds of men's and women's basketball tournaments on ESPN digital networks. Select regular season men's and women's basketball games on a ESPN network. Also announced with this deal, and I need to refresh my page because page 2 did not come through on this. Give me just a second, everybody, while I do this refresh.
While you're refreshing it, big announcement from the MEAC. Go ahead and finish up, AD.
All right. In addition, ESPN events and the MEAC have extended the conference participation in the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff presented by Toyota and the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota through 2032. If we go back to our way back machine, all the way back to last week, Charles and Dot, the SWAC signed an agreement for the same amount with for the same time frame with ESPN events. So we have championship football through 2032, everybody. The 6-year renewals continues ESPN's longstanding commitment to showcase the HBCU football through 2 of the sport's premier annual events held both right here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Big deal, big deal. We went in depth in terms of a segment we did regarding the timing of this, which is certainly a big deal. And the fact that it matches the SWAC lets you know that the partnership is on the same page about where they're going in terms of partnering with ESPN, particularly for the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge presented by Toyota, as well as the Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota. Those bookend events, along with the Band of the Year, really speaks to the partnership between the MEAC SWAC and ESPN in terms of their news. That's fascinating, big-time business, the number of games, and things of that nature. Charles, did you want to add anything for that before you drop your news? Or
No. I mean, like we were saying last week, it's very significant, especially when you talk about the health of both conferences, Celebration Bowl, MEAC SWAC Challenge, to see value in HBCU football. I mean, and HBCU athletics as a whole. That is tremendous, and have it extended out through 2032. Tremendous.
Can I drop one more nugget on that, Dr. Cavil and Charles?
Sure can.
Everybody, do your research. The Cricket Celebration Bowl presented by Toyota is the only bowl today that has a multi-year agreement with their conferences.
Right.
Let me say that again. I look itty bitty Black College National Championship It's the only bowl game. Not the Rose Bowl, not the Sugar Bowl, not the Orange Bowl, not the Poulan Weed Eater Bowl or whatever bowl you want to call it. That has a multi-year deal with their conferences. As a matter of fact, our itty bitty bowl that we like to call our Black College National Championship is the only bowl game that has a conference agreement beyond this season. Yeah, the Pop-Tart Bowl too, Edwin.
Good stuff. Big time. Good information. Charles, let me go to you to continue on with some of this news of the day.
Yeah, and this is very interesting, especially with us here in the Texas area. But Coach Jackson, Tremaine Jackson at Prairie View, he blasted THSA coaching school for the snub. You don't respect our ball, and this comes to us from HBCU Sports. But he wants respect. Outspoken Prairie View head coach said his program was disrespected by after the Panthers assistant coaches were not invited to the Texas High School Coaches Association coaching school, arguing that the staff had earned recognition after a historic season. Jackson said that the issue was not with the event itself. He described the annual THSCA coaching school as phenomenal and said it remains one of the best run coaching events he has attended. But he said the selection process for college representatives and clinic participants left out Prairie View coaches who had proven themselves on the field. So very significant in terms of Coach Jackson making light of that in regards to the respect of Prairie View A&M football.
Great points. I think he made an excellent point. I like the fact that he stands up. I know some folks out there talk about his, being out front in issues like that. I think this is one that everybody believes and appreciate the fact that he was out front. Good information.
He also said, for all those folks in Texas, that Prairie View was the only team in the state of Texas to play for a national championship.
And he was accurate on it. He was very accurate on that in terms of playing for a national championship. Good information. Let me go back to you, Drew. What else is on your mind in terms of the news of the day, of what's out there? Big stuff.
Yeah, obviously we had SIAC Media Day today, and I don't know which one of these I want to get to.
Well, let's say some of the SIAC for the second and third segment, because I want to break down that predicted order finish. We'll talk about the preseason players of the year as well as some first teamers in terms of what that looks like. We'll do that in the next segment. But we can get into.
I need to save my story. You got I need to save my story because I got one big time that relates to that Dr. Cavil. So I'm gonna have to pass on this news of the day because all I can say is when I get off of this show,
yes,
I'll be on my Amazon Prime app doing some shopping, looking for some bulletin boards and some push pins.
Bulletin board material is always good at this time of the year. Charles, you got any additional bulletin board material that you're going with?
I'm waiting on my bulletin board material. I looked at some things today and I said, there were some things out there about strength of schedule that, interesting. We'll get to that bulletin board stuff. We'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, I will get one. I do have one more. Yesterday we had all of the purging at the mothership, and I don't know if anybody saw it, but Cam Newton put out a very telling video on his Instagram page, his 4th-and-1 Instagram page, and I like that he took the high road and thanked all the people at ESPN for the time, for the experience that he got, and basically he said he gonna be all right. He said one of the things he's happy for was the fact that he was fortunate enough to be able to start his own platform, which is why he says he's going to be all right. And we know his 4th and 1 podcast is doing tremendous numbers. But he said there's 2 things that you cannot take away from him from his time at ESPN. And those are his contacts, all of the people that he met there at that ESPN, and oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Because I just had it. It was his contact, and basically, in so many words, it was the knowledge that he gained while he was at ESPN.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things you do can appreciate being associated with ESPN, no longer how long that time is that it puts you out front and center. It gives you a lot of context, relationships to go in your Rolodex if you take advantage of it. And then the fact that he is on the platform, and it does speak to the value of this new media format where a lot of athletes have started their own. You think about Ryan Clark with the pivot. He's in the same position in regard to his ability to still put out news. Even go back a little bit to Shannon Sharp, even though that wasn't necessary, just a purely financial decision on the purge. He still obviously had to leave ESPN. But he's still putting out major contact, had a major deal in terms of what he does independently, and has some good financial stand on. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go forward and just following them in terms of the voice they have. And we've seen some folks that have even had increased their voice as they left ESPN. When we go back even a little further back, when you talk about some of the folks that have left over the years. And then you have the other platform. We've seen a lot of folks leave ESPN and go FS1 Sports as well and do just as good. So it'll be fascinating to see what that turns out. So let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to do what we just talked about and get into a little bit of SIAC talk. Talk a little bit about the first team, second team players, the numbers on the teams and things of that nature, and get your thoughts, both of your thoughts in terms of what that means going into this 2026 season for the SIAC. We'll be right back after this first break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image.
Ever told yourself, I want to get into real estate but don't know where to start? Here's something just for you. From Friday, July 31st to Sunday, August 2nd, the Learn Real Estate Fast Masterclass is coming to McKenzie Office Park in College Park. You'll learn wholesaling, commercial investing, and how to purchase property with zero money or credit. I can tell you, education and access are everything. This masterclass is designed to give you both. Whether you're brand new or ready to level up, this is where you start making real moves. Enjoy free lunch, free study materials, and receive a certification of completion. So don't wait. Seats are filling fast. Do not sit on the sidelines while others build wealth. Take that first step toward ownership and legacy. Get your tickets now at learnrealestatefast.com or tickpick.com. For more information, call 678-859-3303. Master the market, build your legacy, secure your future today.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Introducing the HBCU Trivia Game. It's more than a board game, it's a journey to the legacy of historically black colleges and universities. Here's how it works. 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, start as freshmen and roll the dice to advance. But here's the twist. You can only move forward by answering trivia questions about HBCU. Test your knowledge of notable alumni, key historical events, sports milestones, and fun HBCU facts. Watch out for spaces that can propel you ahead or set you back. And if you get a question wrong, you stay put until your next turn. The first to reach graduation wins! The HBCU Trivia Game. Support, educate, entertain! Available now. Let the journey begin.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL on August 29th with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff presented by Toyota, representing the SWAC, Alabama A&M, and representing the MEAC, Howard, Bulldogs, Bison, the Marching Maroon and White, the Showtime Marching Band, the premier FCS matchup in primetime with a kickoff trophy up for grabs. Join us pre-game for band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
HCA coaches board that picks clinic speakers is you don't respect our ball. And I'm sitting here and I'm getting about tired of that. You don't respect our ball because we're a historical black college. You don't respect our ball because you thought Prairie View was something that Prairie View A&M is not anymore. And I'm from this state. I know the good old boy network. I get it. That time is over with. Prairie View A&M plays real ball. We play real ball. We coach real ball. We recruit real football players. And so whatever you thought it was, it ain't that anymore. So I don't need you to text me and call me and say, hey, Jack, what are you doing? Jack know exactly what he's doing. Jack is calling out the nonsense that continues to happen when it comes to our football at Prairie View A&M. We will not sit on our hands and be disrespected anymore. If you wanted to give coaches in the room some more good stuff to hold on to and take back to their team, then you should have invited our coaches. And I understand that you should have invited them. So we're not going to sit here and act like it shouldn't have happened. We should have been there. They should have been there. They earned it.
Charles, heard him loud and clear. I think he was straight to the point. I think it's hard to argue in terms of his point. And he's fighting for his coaches. In a lot of ways, that means standing up for his players. Certainly standing up for Prairie View. Therefore, that means Texas HBCU programs, Texas Southern, as well as the SWAC, FCS, and HBCU programs in general. So I welcome that.
Yes.
As we jump back into it, let's go to the SIC, talking about this first team. Do the first team offense. We'll start with the guys up front. Offensive lineman Charles. We're going to start with Chance Bush, as he is representing Allen as a junior out of Augusta, Georgia. And he is a returning 2025 first team all-conference. Also another first team all-conference that's returning this year. Another offensive lineman, Isaiah Turner, out of Benedict. A redshirt senior out of Abbeville, Georgia. Offensive lineman returning that was also All-American in 2025, Zyrus Craft. Bookending it with Allen. Allen up front has some first teamers. He's a graduate that's returning. McGee, Mississippi. And all of these linemen were first team last year. So you see the linemen that return. So a lot of talent up front for some of these teams. And look who this represented, Benedict. And we'll hear that name again in terms of offensive lineman. Isaiah Richardson, a redshirt sophomore from Charleston, South Carolina. Jason Miller, first team of Benedict Senior, Columbus, Ohio. In terms of offensive linemen, wrapping out the top 5 here. Tight end was a Michael Bowman out of Allen, redshirt junior, Orangeburg, South Carolina. A wide receiver in terms of Darius Cyprian from Kentucky State. We know what they did last year. He's a senior that has come back and would like to do it again and see what he can get done out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And wide receiver E.J. Hall out of Tuskegee, a redshirt sophomore at Tuskegee, Alabama. Running back was John Terrius Thomas. Edward Waters, a senior out of Gadsden County, Florida. Those individuals, all of those I just listed from top to bottom thus far, are returning all first-team All-Americans from 2025. One that was added this year, though, is a David Smith, Benedict, redshirt junior out of Houston, Texas. Got out of Dodge, out of Houston, but he's playing some good football in Benedict. Quarterback was Xavier Jackson, Clark Atlanta University sophomore out of Tampa. Florida. So hear your thoughts there in terms of those first teamers. You notice one thing, a lot of them are returning all SIC selections from 2025. I'm going to start with you, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, this is a strong list. I mean, when you start taking a look at especially the linemen, that jumps out for me. When you start taking a look at Bush and Kraft, both from Allen, Benedict has 3 selections, first teamers. That's pretty strong when you take a look at that. Darius Cyprian had a huge year last season for Kentucky State. John Terrius Thomas, a game breaker. He's scary. So you got a really, really strong list of these names that jumped out coming back. These are some names to really pay attention to coming into this upcoming season.
Good stuff. AD Drew, what do you think about the first teamers on the list? A lot of Benedict, a lot of Allen. Then you sprinkle a couple of other folks throughout the league. No more house.
No, seriously though. EJ Hall, great wide receiver there from Tuskegee, definitely deserve to be there. One of those names that you will call in most Saturdays in the SIAC playmaker. Cam Watts, I don't think you got down to kick returners there. Dr. Cavil from Albany State. One of those guys who decided not to follow Quinn Gray. When he's back there returning the kick, you stand up and you watch, because all he needs is one block, and he can take it to the house all the time and everything. But there was a little bit of more house there. You ain't got to the defensive side, so let me stop right there because you ain't got to the defensive side yet.
I'm glad that you did talk about those special returners. I'm gonna add these before I go to the first team defense. Kicker, LaCorin, Ryan's Tuskegee senior, Limerick, Ireland. Punter, Elon Hall, Fort Valley State senior, Kennesaw, Georgia. Punt returner, Dante Curry Jr., Fort Valley State junior, McDonough, Georgia. And as you said, kick returner Cameron Watts, that's come back representing Albany State, a senior from Tyrone, Jordan. Ryans, Curry Jr., and Watts are also 2025 SIEC, all SIEC selections from 2025. Let's look at the defensive side of the ball for the first team. As AD was getting a little excited about that side. When you talk about defensive linemen, the front four, you got Dedrick Drayton, Albany State redshirt senior, I should say, College Park, Georgia, 2025 SIEC selection. Then we have some folks that are getting their first time getting some great recognition. Jaden Cleveland, another defensive lineman, Clark Atlanta Jr., Montgomery, Alabama. Another guy from Montgomery, Alabama, representing Morehouse, is Zach Underwood. He is a redshirt sophomore from Montgomery, Alabama, as I said. Last on the defensive front is Mizaiah Wales, Tuskegee, graduate, Jacksonville, Florida. Let's go to those linebackers picking in your window. Trevon French, Edward Waters, a junior, Powder Springs, Georgia. He is a 2025 SIEC all SIEC selection, is getting his due in 2026. Newcomers, Bishop Blakely, Central State senior, Rancho Cucamonga, California. Hadn't heard that in a while. Sean Johnson. Morehouse, senior, Noonan, Georgia. Defensive backs, no-fly zone, starts with Travion Searcy, Central State senior, Macon, Georgia, and Aaron Kasham Allen, redshirt junior, Covington, Georgia. Those two guys are 2025 All-SIAC selections getting their due in 2026. Two newcomers, Lawrence McConnell, Kentucky State senior, St. Louis, Missouri, 80. Akayon Rogers, I should say, Edward Waters, Jr., Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Break it down for the first team All-American selection for the SIAC. I'm going to start with you, AD Drew. We did hear Morehouse name called a couple times on defense. So they're represented in terms of first team All-SIAC in 2026 on the defensive side. I'm sure you like that.
Yeah, obviously, we're happy that we got these guys back on the defensive side. Sean Johnson for Morehouse, of all the tacklers returning, he was number 2 in the conference of those returning. Had 88 tackles last year, everybody. 45 of those were solo. And Zach Underwood, also one of the top returners. They're tied for the lead with Morehouse with 4.5 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. Also, some of the top numbers in the SIAC of those who are returning for the Maroon within the conference.
Good stuff, AD Drew. Charles, your thoughts? First team SIAC. A little more diversity on the defensive side, as we saw some of the same names that seem like really getting it done on, or perceive what folks believe going to get it done, certainly this year in terms of offense. What are your thoughts about all SIAC 2026 preseason? First team players on the defensive side of the ball.
It did make me want to ask a question. I mean, Morehouse has quite a few selections on the defensive side of the ball. Is that sort of the strength of Morehouse coming into this upcoming season? Now, I saw Scott there at quarterback, but I saw the selections on the defensive side of the ball, AD.
Well, yes, but Morehouse, the way the team was constituted last year, they had a team that was going to outgun you and everything. But the kids that we do have returning on the defensive side of the ball, all of those were playmakers. So that's what it is, Charles. It's like all of our playmakers are back. What we lost was the back half of our defense last year. We lost our secondary. I think we've got one guy who happens to be when we get to the second team, he's on the second team. But you talk about the front seven that's coming back for this team. This is an experienced front seven for the Morehouse Maroon Tigers, everybody. And when I say experience, they actually put up numbers and everything. So new secondary, but front seven, I challenge. Do you find a better front seven that's returning than the Morehouse Maroon Tigers?
And to your point, while the first team wasn't that deep, Charles, we won't take a deep dive in the second team, but since you brought it up, you got 2 offensive linemen for Morehouse on the second team. You have a wide receiver also on the second team. And then all important, you have a quarterback, Miles Scott, senior for that matter, also on the second team. So you kind of put it together. You can see Morehouse is actually pretty solid on offensive side of the ball that AD Drew just broke down. So, while you all want to be first team, I think the bigger day when you really want to look at it, how much talent do you have really between the first and second team, to me, stands out a little bit more if everybody produces. Voting goes how it is. Sometimes it's kind of where you finished last year or how hot you were late, not necessarily as others, more at the stats that Drew just broke down. So it's the composite, and it gives some folks on Morehouse and some other players for that matter, the second team, it gives them a little something to push for to see all important at the end of the year. Can they get that first team nod based on what did they get done, which should help their team the most. Let's take our second break. We'll come back on the other side, give you offensive and defensive preseason players of the years. Then we'll get a little bit into that predicted order of finish and get a little bit more of this discussion where AD Drew really is going to make some strong points, particularly when you talk about that collage I just talked about, first and second team. Does it add up to where your predicted order of finish? So that gives you a little something to think about as we give you a tease. We'll be right back after this second break, and we'll get right back into it.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Introducing the HBCU Trivia Game. It's more than a board game. It's a journey to the legacy of historically black colleges and universities. Here's how it works. 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up. Start as freshmen and roll the dice to advance. But here's the twist. You can only move forward by answering trivia questions about HBCU. Test your knowledge of notable alumni, key historical events, sports milestones, and fun HBCU facts. Watch out for spaces that can propel you ahead or set you back. And if you get a question wrong, you stay put until your next turn. The first to reach graduation wins. The HBCU Trivia Game. Support, educate, entertain. Available now. Let the journey begin.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL on August 29th with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff presented by Toyota, representing the SWAC, Alabama A&M, and representing the MEAC, Howard, Bulldogs, Bison, the Marching Maroon and White, the Showtime Marching Band, the premier FCS matchup in primetime with a kickoff trophy up for grabs. Join us pre-game for band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Certain things, it was like, dang, that's messed up how they did Ryan. Hold on real quick. Hey, you could go with it too. They're like, dang! You have to make light of something, because for me, if this isn't a way for all athletes and even content creators to learn one important rule of the times that we live in right now. Mm-hmm. If you don't own your own platform, you're going to get overlooked, bypassed, and be extinct just like dinosaurs. Mm. Look at what's happening here. Okay. It's unfortunate what happened to Ryan Clark, But what I will tell you is this. Ron Clark going to be okay. The pivot ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate what happened to me, some would think, but I'm good. 4th and 1 ain't going nowhere.
He said it really well when you think about that they have something independent. He said all content creators.
Yeah.
We were one of the first in the business out there. You have Sports Rap was one of the first out there. I think they've been running it in terms of an organization longer than we have. Unfortunately, we kind of got them when we started doing episodes, so we may have more content episodes than them. But it's a friendly rival. We're not going to go back in terms of who had first, who what, in terms of what that means. But it's important from the standpoint that the foundation is there, and the fact that we partner with Black College Sports Network that has other individuals such as Carlos Brown, Charles, as you know, that's been in the game longer than any of us. He just switched from radio, which was his own pivot, to doing his show and getting things done. So it is important. We lost Charlie Neal that welcomed us all in terms of his partnership. And we had a chance to, in some ways, partner with some of these larger, if you would, folks, larger brand names, I should say, in terms of what that looks like. So I think that's significant when he says that, because there are some other folks that they also tapped on the shoulder that may have not had their own thing going on. It doesn't mean they can't start something, and certainly hope that they'll have other opportunities. And most importantly, which we'll talk about all athletes, whether they're in college and getting some significant deals or in the pros, the fact to make sure that they manage their money. And not only do they manage their money, when you talk about Brown, previous of the Celtics, now with Philadelphia, they talked about also how to make sure you manage your money and be careful about who you give that money to, in regards to they really have your best interest. So this is an opportunity to talk about that. Another way to do that is with these preseason offensive and defensive players of the years that are going to get this limelight. One of the things that I noticed, getting the opportunity not to be there in the present, but being there, is Dr. Holloman, and he announced the Hall of Famers. And this year there was several of them that were entered posthumously in terms of getting into the Hall of Fame, but there are others that will get to celebrate it. I'm sure their family be recognized, which is extremely important. But he talked to the young folks in terms of them being excited, getting this opportunity to be in representing their institution. Those that are all conference, first and second team. And he talked about the fact to stay the course, do the work, and they may have the honor of representing their team and being called a Hall of Famer. So I thought that was really a big moment. It kind of ties in with never knowing where your opportunity comes and being prepared for that. As professors out there teaching classes, not only do we teach our content, particularly when we have a chance to be with our HBCU students and students in general, we talk about them understanding their brand and starting recognizing their brand early in such a way that they can build off of it and teach not just lessons out of the textbook, but world opportunities, whether that's partnering with us on the show, which we've had some students do. We just had one student that did 1876 and just got a picture of her ID that she is in a graduate program at the University of Nevada, Reno, where I have a relationship with the dean in a whole other college. And she's getting financially taken care of to go get her graduate degree. You never know what direction the world will take you, particularly when you're open to opportunities. So I did want to share that, and I wanted to give Dr. Holloman, the commissioner of the SIAC, some credit for providing some very sound advice during their media today. Look nice out there too, brother. With that being said, let's get into this offensive defensive player of the year. Get your thoughts on this. John Terrius Thomas, Edward Sr., Gadsden County, Florida, in terms of getting the call as the offensive player of the year. Big time in terms of what that looks like. I think that's fascinating when you talk about what he brings to the table, representing Edward Waters as a running back. It'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. Also, Edward Waters which may give you some thoughts in terms of where they were predicted on their order of finish. Trayvon French, Edward Waters, the junior from Powder Springs, Georgia. We talked a little bit about what he brings to the table. He is a linebacker. So it'll be fascinating to see if that adds up. Get your thoughts on these two guys getting the nod as the preseason offensive defensive player of the year. Charles, starting with you.
Tremendous amount of talent on Edward Waters' football team when you talk about the preseason offensive player of the year, preseason defensive player of the year. And I know we'll talk about it, but I mean, it jumps out for me on Jackson State's schedule. They have Edward Waters, who's predicted to finish first in the SIAC, as well as Tuskegee in the first month of the season. And Tuskegee got a pretty high ranking today as well. So it speaks to the level of talent that sits around in the SIAC. And we see a lot of those players, they make the bump up to either Division I FCS or FBS schools in terms of transferring. But it's a lot of talent. And I think the days of just sort of seeing those teams on the schedule and overlooking them, they're long gone. You have to take them very credible. I can attest to it firsthand because I sat through Tuskegee whooping Jackson State once upon a time, as well as Kentucky State whooping Jackson State once upon a time. So I think, fan bases have come to realize that you just can't overlook teams just because they're Division II.
I'm going to point out something when we get to this next one about you talking about schedules. Jackson State makes it a little more interesting, the D2s that they have on their schedule based on where they predicted or to finish. I know nobody wants to hear that, and rightfully so, but still, something to keep your eyes on, at least provide some talking points going into those matchups. With that being said, AD Drew, your thoughts in terms of these preseason offensive, defensive player of the year?
Let me give you a little bit of background on both these young men. Trayvon French of Edward Waters played in 10 games last season, had 74 tackles, averaged 7.4 tackles per game with 3 sacks. And Jontarius Thomas, the offensive player of the year for Edward Waters, running back, played in all 10 games. On 145 attempts, gained 1,016 yards. That is 7 yards per carry, everybody. 7 yards a carry with 8 touchdowns, averaged 101.6 yards per game, everybody. The only person who outran him last year was Fabian Duncan of Allen.
Allen, yeah.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let's get to the good part. Predicted order finish from the SIC. Number 13, Lane. Number 12, Morehouse. Number 11, Central State. Number 10, Clark Atlanta. They don't believe about the AAU Center. I know that much. And moving on up, number 9, Savannah State. Number 8, Fort Valley State. Number 7, Miles. Number 6, Allen. All those first-team offensive linemen didn't press some folks. At number 5, Kentucky State. Number 4, Albany State. Number 3, surprising maybe to some, but Tuskegee. They're predicting that they will get back in the football business. Number 2, Benedict. Number 1, Edward Waters. Those Tigers, pesky Tigers, whether they're golden or not, top 3 teams have Tigers on the index. Interesting to see there. I'm going to start with you, Charles. And as I said, Jackson State has number 1 and number 3 on their schedule in regards to the predicted order finish. But besides that, since we're talking about D2 SIAC, what are your thoughts in terms of this predicted order finish? What surprises you most? Morehouse at the bottom. Clark Atlanta has a second-team quarterback. Morehouse has a lot of total players. Or the fact that Edward Waters is picked number 1. Tuskegee. What surprises you or what doesn't?
Yeah, I think, well, let me start here. Allen at 6. That one kind of jumped out for me in that when you take a look at Allen from a national poll ranking perspective, Allen sits at number 8 when we're talking about the Black College poll. So for them to be sitting at 6, that was an interesting juxtaposition for me there in terms of taking a look at Allen, especially with what they have coming back on the offensive line. Kentucky State sitting at 5 after the season, sitting at 5 after the season they had last year. That was a bit jarring as well. And then I think Tuskegee vaulting themselves up into that top 3, that was another something that kind of jumped out for me because, you wouldn't expect sort of the jump that they had getting into the upper echelon, if you will, of the SIC. But Edward Waters, Benedict, duly noted where they should be 1 and 2. Edward Waters, I think, when you take a look at the talent, we talked about the offensive preseason player of the year, defensive preseason player of the year. It's warranted that they would be up there. But Allen was the one that jumped out for me, sitting in the middle of the pack there at 6. And then Morehouse to have as many selections as they do. But, AD, I'll leave that meat on the bone for you, brother.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, Charles, we're just going to step back for a minute, hand the mic to AD Drew about Morehouse, or just really overall predictor or the finish in all seriousness. But we'll give it over him and get his thoughts now.
All right, here we go, everybody. No respect for the state of Georgia itself. If you look at the bottom half of this poll, you got 4 of the 5 schools within the state of Georgia sitting in the bottom half of the SIAC. Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Savannah State, Fort Valley, and what a lot of pundits expect, Albany State to be sitting down there with everybody else in the state of Georgia. It's number 1. Number 2, Kentucky State. Kentucky State got a lot of problems going on that go beyond football. I don't expect Kentucky State, despite them having the talent there this year, a decent amount of talent returning, with everything going on around that football program outside of the football players and coaches' controls. It's I don't know how many 18 to 22-year-olds can focus at the level to be able to be successful like Kentucky State was last year. I'm wondering, Allen, although we saw them sign the tight end out of LSU, but I'm wondering, did they lose too much in the skill position area? The line is coming back, so that gives them a chance, but I'm wondering if Allen lost too much in the skills position area. Edward Waters, you got the offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, and deservedly so the offensive player of the year. I could go with Allen. Benedict, going to be interested with Benedict because Benedict is going to be a brand new team. I think Benedict is number 2 on based on their name right now. I'm not 100% sure about Benedict because we really don't know their roster composition. We haven't seen their roster composition. Yeah, more power to you.
That's what you're supposed to think this time of the year.
But here's the one I want to go. I want to get to you guys. Morehouse, the Maroon Tigers, have 10 players between the first and the second team. Let me say that again. They have 10 players between the first and the second team. More than Kentucky State at 7, more than Allen at 5, more than preseason number 1, Edward Waters also at 5, more than preseason number 3, Tuskegee, who has 4, more than Clark Atlanta with 3. Did I say Benedict also has 5? Benedict has 5. Albany State with 3, Central State with 3, Miles with 1, Lane with 1. Savannah State just left completely off. But Morehouse has 10. And you say they're going to finish second from last in the conference. Is that an indictment on our new head coach, Brad Sherrod, who's won where he's coached at, who won 2 conference championships at his previous institution. Well, excuse me, won 1 conference championship, got to the playoffs twice at his previous institution. Once again, is this the fact that just because a school has a new coach that they're going to be at the bottom? You can say the same thing about Clark Atlanta. We all know what Terry Sams has done in his coaching career, and you guys have him. They have him down at the bottom because he's a brand new coach. Yep. But you got Albany State with a brand new coach, and you say they're going to still do good. So Savannah State. So 3 of the 4 teams with brand new coaches, number 9, number 10, and number 12. But here's the one that I really, really, really want to get into. And that is my quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Miles Scott. Second team, Xavier Jackson. First team. No disrespect to Xavier Jackson, but I got to stand up for my quarterback. And keep in mind that both the first and the second team slots were open. So he very well could have been voted first team.
That's true.
But he was voted second team. Let me give y'all something. Number 2, based on last year's stats, number 2 in passing yards in the conference. Disputes from Allen, gone. Led the conference in pass attempts. Number 2 in pass completion. Disputes from Allen, gone. Started all 10 games. Excuse me. So, number 2 in completions, led the conference in pass attempts. Tied for number 2 in the conference in touchdown passes thrown. Did I say he led the yards?
AD, you need to sit down.
let me say this one thing about disputes. Great quarterback for Allen. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he played in 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Scott only played in 10.
Good point.
Xavier Jackson, 7 games played, 166 completions compared to 183 for Miles. Through Miles, 331 attempts, Jackson, 277 attempts. Miles, 2559 yardage, Jackson, 2103 yardage. Both of them did throw 18 touchdowns. So, and Jackson started 3 less games than Miles.
Good stuff, AD. Let's drop the mic on it. So we got to get into this next break.
AD, you got to sit down for your Netflix documentary on that one, man.
No, let me say this, and I'll go out on this.
Yeah,
I'll go out on this.
We need to take it outside and then put the Netflix part in it and then let him go.
Week 2, BT Harvey Stadium. We will see which one of these 2 are the better quarterback, because they go head up to start the conference season.
Good marketing.
And somebody got a chip on their shoulder. I know who we play for.
Great marketing. Let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side and we'll reflect back on the Black College Football poll. And now that we know predicted order finished, we'll kind of compare it and get your thoughts on that. We'll be right back after this last.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Planning an event?
From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural taste, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Attention football fans. The Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff presented by Toyota is back in Atlanta on August 29th. Representing the SWAC, Alabama A&M, and representing the MEAC, Howard. Join us at Center Park Stadium for a full day of tailgating, football, and bands.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Dr. Cavil, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Way to go, AD Drew. Great. Drop the mic. Netflix series for Instagram moment on Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we said earlier, you need to have your own. He has his own Netflix series, Charles, in terms of AD Drew, so he's in the business. Taking care of himself.
That's my quarterback.
That would be good. Let's get into this Black College poll. Let me remind everybody the top 10 here, and then we're going to juxtapose that in terms of these predicted order of finish. Kind of see what you all think. It's interesting when you think about the predicted order of finish because that's coaches in one particular conference and the SIDs in that conference versus this is both coaches are voting out of the CIAA and SIEC, comparing each other, along with selected media without SID. So interesting to juxtapose that. And you can see to some degree why you get some stuff different. But I think this synergy is pretty much the same when you think about quadrants, if you would, about where teams are finished. Quickly here, top 10 again. And this is the Black College Football released this preseason, the inaugural season. That is a representative of all HBCU programs. There's two polls. That's the NCAA Division II that we're focused on, but you also have the NCAA Division I FCS. Again, this is voted on by the coaches out of those divisions as well as selected media that go on this, and it was released before everything started off as we get into these media days And then we'll also have a All-American preseason team that will be released over the next couple of weeks as we close out on the media day. Number 10, Tuskegee, SIAC. Number 9, Edward Waters, SIAC. Number 8, Allen, SIAC. You have number 7, Virginia State, CIAA. Number 6, Fayetteville State, CIAA. Number 5, Kentucky State, SIAC. Number 4, Virginia Union, CIAA. And number 3, Albany State, CIAA. Number 3, Albany State, SIAC. Number 2, Benedict, SIAC. Number 1, Johnson C. Smith, CIAA. You have the number 1 preseason, Edward Waters. Only picked number 9 in terms of the consolidated poll. You have Johnson C. Smith picked number 1, but picked number 2 in the preseason, if you recall. Yeah, Benedict, that is pretty solid. Picked number 2 overall, picked number 2 in their conference. Albany State picked 3, picked 4. Virginia Union is sitting at 4, but was picked number 1. Kentucky State, top 5. Both of these programs are fascinating when you think about that a little bit in terms of the mix. Fayetteville State was number 6 overall, but number 3 in the CIAA predicted order of finish. When you think about that, Virginia State, number 7, but number 4. Some other things you can look at, top 5. 3 SIACs. They did just beat out the CIAA last year. You got 2 CIAA in the top 5, but you only have 4 overall in terms of CIAA, while you have the depth, it seems, in the SIAC with 6. Charles, what direction you want to go when you start thinking about these breakdowns, when you look specifically at CIAA or SIAC, since we're focused on it today, their predicted order of finish? Again, you got the SIDs and the coaches. When you juxtapose that against the coaches and the media pundits that were voting in these polls.
Who has the biggest variance in terms of looking at the national poll versus
the biggest variance is Edward Waters.
Edward Waters.
Yeah.
Number 1 in their predicted order SIAC, but only ranked number 9 in terms of that. Another pretty big one would be maybe Tuskegee. Select 10 overall, but they were ranked number 3 in terms of the predicted order of finish. So that's another big jump for them when you think about overall.
How about at the top, though, Dr. Cavil? How about Virginia Union going from 1 in their conference to number 4 nationally?
Number 4 nationally,
significantly considering that they're at the top of the conference.
Yeah,
absolutely, you're right. When you talk about the top,
I think that jumps out in terms of just taking a look at Edward Waters today. Like when I saw number 1, I think that was what jumped out for me in terms of where they were nationally, and I was like, which one of us got it right? did those in the conference get it right, or those on the national look that were they paying as much attention to Edward Waters in terms of where they should be? So I think that gets settled, of course, during the course of the season. But going into the season, it does create a bit of a talking point in terms of maybe we underestimated how good Edward Waters really is.
The stuff you see, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets just outside of the top 10, representing the West Virginia Intercollegiate Athletic Conference over there. But going to you, AD Drew, what are your thoughts when you juxtapose the media and the coaches versus the coaches in the SID when they go representing their respective conference?
I think one thing, and I'm glad Raymond put this up, the first place votes. I think that's something also that we should look at. Tuskegee picked number 2 in the conference. Obviously, they got some first place votes from within the voting, or else you don't finish number 2 if you don't get first place votes. But only one first place vote nationally. Virginia Union picked number 1 in their conference, only 7 first place votes nationally. So this is what I say. Dean, I need you to help me with this. Who is or who is not doing their homework? And what I mean by doing their homework, who's looking at the numbers? Who's reading the storylines, who's looking at what they've signed, what they lost. Who's doing that? Is it the people within the conference doing or not doing their homework? Or is it us on a national level doing and not doing their homework? And I think it would be interesting, and I really wish we had the data broke down. I would really like to see what the coaches within this poll, Dr. Cavil, voted compared to what the conference poll was, and see how much those mirror each other just based on if my coach versus, because I think maybe the media, we don't know the stories, the backstories, and everything else. Those coaches know who these teams have signed because half the time they recruit the same player and they got away from them. So just something to think about.
Yeah, we might get a chance over the period of time to kind of do some of the analysis and share some of that information, at least from a overall perspective of where it was weighted when you look at media versus coaches, to get some more insight in these two, and even see if it was different from the media looking at NCAA Division I FCS versus the media looking at NCAA Division II, and how it augments against the coaches in each prospective division. So that's some great points there. I wanted to get in a little bit something here also, if you would, that I thought was interesting when you start to look at this schedule, which gives us a little different focus. Talking about Johnson C. Smith, now that both of these out, you look at their schedule. Wanted to give some little thoughts here. We might jump around and look at some other ones now that we see these polls to give you some indication. But Johnson C. Smith plays Benedict, which is, again, preseason ranked number 2 in the conference and number 2 in overall poll. So it's pretty solid. If Benedict, everybody at least thinks is going to be strong. And so you got a 1-2 matchup in terms of the polls. You got a 2-2 matchup in terms of predicted order of finish. I think that's a big game to start this off. You got to check it out. And how much does Benedict playing at home help them out in that matchup? Then you have Golden Bulls facing up against Albany State. I mean, that has all kinds of intrigue when you talk about a first-year coach. When you look at the predicted order of finish, that gives you a 1 versus 3 matchup in terms of the poll rankings, but you get a 2 versus a 4 in terms of the predicted order of finish, in terms of that it looks like. And then they get into Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville State, and you know what it is in terms of conference games. But that's going to be fascinating when you talk about what that looks like from that matchup. So I'm so interested. So kind of get your thoughts a little bit when you talk about the Golden Bulls and how they start stuff off. We talked about we like big-time matchups. We talked about the fact that we want to get into is we look at poll rankings. We got both now. We got big-time matchups between the CIAA and SIAC. We got it marked down in terms of the rankings. You can't get more than this in terms of what it looks like in terms of matchups. Charles, your thoughts?
I mean, that's the beauty of the poll. I mean, it helps you kind of define what these big-time matchups are, especially when you get a 1-2 going into the season, things of that nature. And it clarifies it. I think the big thing is that it clarifies it for a fan in terms of taking a look at these numbers beside the team. You know, we can talk going into the season, but when you put that ranking beside that team going into that matchup, it creates a lot of intrigue. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey, Drew, your thoughts on their schedule there?
I'm wondering, is Johnson C. Smith the only Division II team, especially the only Division II contender that's playing a strictly Division II schedule? No FBS on the schedule, no NAIA on the schedule. I'm just curious because when you said that and knowing that the other 8 games are CIAA games, and I don't have the schedules in front of me, but that's intriguing, especially for a team that you consider you want to see in the playoffs. That's with success, if they handle that schedule, sets them up very well to get a high seed in the in Super Region 1.
Great point when you talk about that. We might get an answer right here when you think about Benedict's schedule. I was going to give you that. And it's fascinating when you talk about what they look like from their schedule. They start out, as we said, obviously Johnson C. Smith. They have Shorter out of Carolina.
So they have a straight Division II schedule also.
Yep. So they have a straight D2 because the rest of them are all SIAC games.
Correct.
The one that you keep your eyes on in terms of these rankings is going to be interesting. The game 4, they're at Tuskegee, Charles. Then game 7, they have Edward Waters for homecoming. Then they travel to Albany State. So we don't know if they tested for real in terms of what that looks like. Let me get one more here. Since they were predicted number 1, we'll do Virginia Union's schedule, and then we'll talk a little bit about Edward Waters' schedule. Let's start with Edward Waters' football schedule first. Get you excited in terms of what they're bringing to the table in terms of their schedule. That looks like they play NIA school, in-state rival, Florida Memorial, to kick things off. Then they travel Jackson State. We teased that out a little bit. Then they get into that SIAC schedule, Miles College. That's on the road. They get Savannah State at home, really close, unique rival. Morehouse in Atlanta, Kentucky State at home. They travel, as I said, to Benedict. They got Clark Atlanta at home. And then they travel nice long road trip to Central State, River Forest, Ohio.
One extreme of the conference to the other.
Then they got at home Allen in terms of schedule. So fascinating when you think about them a little bit in terms of their schedule. AD, Drew, your thoughts in terms of how that schedule might balance out for them?
I'm gonna be honest. I hate to see when Central State and Edward Waters match up. I don't care where it is, because those are the two geographic polar opposite, North Pole, South Pole, when it comes to the SIAC conference. So that's a 14, 15-hour bus ride for, in this case, Edward Waters making that one. So that's a game, honestly, that they can slip up on just because of the logistics of that particular matchup. Obviously, I'm excited to see Edward Waters come to Atlanta when they face Morehouse and go ahead and take this L from my Maroon Tigers. So got to put that one on the must watch list. So and then there's something about when Edward Waters and Florida Memorial get together and play. I don't know how many. That is a sneaky, great rivalry, everybody. I've been a part of that rivalry. I've called games in that rivalry. That is a sneaky good rivalry when those two travel up and down I-95 to play each other, everybody. That's just, you just got to watch that, because Florida Memorial is an excellent NAIA program. They just in the conference that's one of the top conferences in NAIA, unfortunately.
We'll get you out of here on this one, Charles. We're going to go back to CIAA Virginia Union, and we'll give you a look in terms of their schedule since they were picked at the top, as we just did Edward Waters. They got Lenore Ryan. Then they get into conference play with Livingston, CIAA matchup. Get back out of non-conference play to go on the road to Shawan in Murfreesboro, North Carolina. Back into conference play to close things out, Bluefield State. That is at home. They're on the road to Fayetteville State. At home for Elizabeth City State. On the road to Bowie State, new head coach over there. Then you have at home Shaw University. On the road with Lincoln. Lincoln University. Thank you. And then they're on the road to the rival, Virginia State. What are your thoughts on their schedule as you see them predicted order finish number one?
I don't see a whole lot of roadblocks. I was thinking Fayetteville State, but they get them at home.
Yeah, no, that's on the road.
Okay, that's on the road. Okay, that's a potential stumbling block there.
Then you get the rival.
Yeah, then of course the rival game. So, but for the most part,
so it's not necessarily a lot of head scratching matchups. You got a couple of solid non-conference games that you want to prove yourself, but very solid winnable games. Only thing you would say about both those non-conference games, they are on the road, which is always tough. You would like
always
to have
tough on the road non-conference.
at home with that. Well, let's get out of here on this. Thank you for listening to the Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Go ahead, Drew.
One thing, this is Wednesday, everybody, instead of Thursday. I just want to remind everybody, as soon as Dr. Cavil does his closeout, to make sure you switch over to Brian, Kelvin, and Marcus over with the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Appreciate that. Great plug. I was going to get in that as well. Make sure you check them out. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watts, Charles Bishop. We decided to give you a Thursday edition on Wednesday. Coming up in the fall, make sure you turn into the Indies as they'll talk about their matchups. They have some pretty interesting talk in terms of early matchups to see if they can get some wins. Then they got to get into conference play and see what they get done there. So you'll see them back. We'll be back on our regular schedule next week, Tuesday and Thursday, as we all have things that we got to get done tomorrow. So we decided to give you a show today. And as AD talked about, make sure you tune in after us. ONG Strike Zone. Get right back in there and continue HBCU football updates. And then you get into Saturday with Carlos Brown to give you some love in terms of that as well. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, AD Drew, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, unless otherwise noted. On Sundays, as we get back in the fall, we'll give you those updates. We'll start that after week 0. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
AD?
Lecture.
AD has one of those shirts as well. Dismiss.